The UFC is headed back to the Apex for UFC Vegas 102. The Apex gets a lot of hate. People don't like that there's no crowd. The cards aren't quite as big as when they hit the road, but I don't mind the Apex. I like the silence. You get to hear the corners. I also like the Apex cards for picks and bets because they're seemingly more straightforward, and I've had quite a bit of success in the past. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 102 fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and bets. Before we do that, let's take a few seconds and look backwards at UFC 312. This is the screenshot of the thumbnail for the recap video I filmed last night. I sat in this chair 7 hours ago and filmed this video. And it was an interesting video to film because my visceral hate for Kevin Gisette just could not be contained any longer. But there were some highlights on that card as well. You want the full recap, the full breakdown, the raw emotion coming out of that event? Check out the Home Alone face thumbnail right here on this channel. There were some incredible highlights at UFC 312, including the fight simulator. If you don't know what it is and you haven't seen a video of ours just yet, if you go to our website, we got a whole bunch of tools and all that stuff for freaking $10. One of the tools that we released 9 days ago is the fight simulator. It takes every single fight on the card. It uses all sorts of information like the implied probability, historical DraftKings fantasy points, biometrics, striking stats, grappling stats. Uses all that information. Then it simulates the fist fights between those two people 100,000 times. Then you could see the outcomes and you can spit out DraftKings fantasy lineups, and it's working. It's working. I woke up to this email. I filmed the recap video last night. I woke up this morning and I got this email from Jeffrey. Jeffrey said, first time using the event simulator. If only I had used it in the larger contest. Thanks for all the great content. Jeffrey made $790 just clicking a few buttons with the event simulator. This has only existed for 2 events. We got this email the last event. We had JLB take the event simulator, built some lineups, threw it into some 50-cent DraftKings fantasy entries, and he built an optimal lineup, and he made $400 or $500, whatever the hell it was. The event simulator seems to be working. The event simulator is available right now for premium members. It is included in everything we do. If you go to WeWantPicks.com and you click Become a Member, you unlock everything. There's no tiers. There's no like fantasy, but every single thing we do is one package for $10. I've always thought about when I film these videos, maybe I should do a slide on all the stupid shit people spend $10 on. A slide just articulating how insignificant $10 is in the scheme of life. Because that should put in perspective what a ridiculous deal this is. It's $10. I just showed you the event simulator. That is a brand new tool that we custom coded from scratch. For UFC 312, we also had the best DraftKings ownership projections on the planet. And if you don't play DraftKings Fantasy, then a lot of this is foreign to you. But let's put it this way. The competing simulator in the industry is $300 a month. The cheapest package they offer is $100 per event. DraftKings ownership is a very important number that matters quite a bit. We have the best DraftKings ownership projections on planet Earth. And that's beating out the giant DFS companies, the multi-million-dollar corporations. And their only job is to sell fantasy information, and we beat their numbers as well. But it's not just picks and bets. We have tools. We have artificial intelligence. We have insight and more. One of the single bets we do is a safety parlay. I'm about to say, this is what's about to happen. I'm about to say it's the beacon of stability in a very unstable environment. I'm also about to tell you it missed at UFC 312. It did miss. And that sucks. Nobody bats 1,000 betting on fist fights. Nobody. I don't care how good I am at picking the safety parlay. Nobody bats 1,000. And anybody who's been here long term has seen the ebbs and flows and knows, historically speaking, this is the single safest bet in this space. Betting on MMA is nuts. It is a really tough sport to consistently bet on. We managed to do really well last year, really well the year before that, and we will continue to do really well this year. That's just how this goes. There's ebbs and there's flows. The reason I say MMA is a really tough sport to bet on is because it's a fist fight. One single punch changes the world. One weird judge can screw you betting on the line. Anything can happen at any moment. And the unfortunate reality for us last night was that Kevin Gisette decided, I'm going to stand here and just go like this, do almost nothing for 15 minutes. And that's the unfortunate reality. The actual reality, though, is the safety parlay is unbelievably stable. It hits at incredible accuracy. I have hit 11 of the last 14, which means I've only missed 3 of the last 14 events. It still has a 43% return on your investment. ROI is the most meaningful number in this space because some of you bet $5. Some of you bet $5,000. Some of you don't bet at all and pretend that you do. And all of those scenarios are completely fine. That's why ROI is the most important number. It's the only thing that levels the playing field. If I bet $5 and I take home 10, that's incredible ROI. If I bet $5,000 and I take home $5,010, well, that's a trash ROI. You're up money, but that's a trash ROI. ROI is the only thing that matters. And the ROI for the safety parlay is 43%. We also have more than just me. And it's an interesting situation because I give you my picks, my bets, my breakdowns. We have an artificial intelligence giving you its picks, and then a human being interpreting it, turning it into bets. We have Artem giving you his picks, his round line leans, his bets. He's breaking down regional cards. We have Jacob giving you his picks, his bets, and everything else. And now we have Bet Sam. Bet Sam has been on a wild streak. Bet Sam is dragging us across the finish line. Bet Sam's done really, really well. And the reason it's an interesting situation is because Bet Sam's newer. And right off the rip, people are like, who the hell is this? And now people are like, Bet Sam's pretty good. And the reason we have so much to offer and so many people is because we're trying to build the best possible service on the planet. And if you look across me and Bet Sam and Jacob, we're all different and we bet differently. I'm more conservative than the rest of them. Bet Sam goes, what? Dude has 2.5 units on one line. That couldn't be me, but it works out for him, or it's been working out for him. So when you look at the list of the bets, my recommendation is always use your own interpretation. Look at the bets. If it's something that, you know what, that makes sense. That's good value. Let me hop aboard. If you're looking at a bet and you're like, this is insane. This person never wins. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Don't place that bet. So lots of bets, lots of options, lots of tools. One of the tools is Data Analyzer. I know there's a giant chunk of you that love doing your own research. And you watch this video maybe for entertainment. You watch this video for some quick insight. And then you're going to go do your own tape study. You watch this video and 5 other people that also do videos like this, but they have topology in the background instead of custom graphics because they're lazy. Well, we got something for you too. The Data Analyzer is a full-blown research tool. You never need to leave that page. You select your event. It's built out for the future, so you can get way ahead in the fight cards. Then you select your fighter. You'll see the fighter. You'll see their opponent, all the statistics. Then you can drill down. If you're trying to find a prop bet, you can say, well, how many significant strikes does Gregory Rodrigues land in finish wins? And you can see that number. Then you can go to Prize Picks or Underdog or your sports book and see what the significant strike line is and go from there. You could also do full tape study. You see this little chart here? All the dots on that chart are plot points. You can hover over it to see what that fight was, see all the information, who the judges were, what the scorecards were, everything. Then you click it, boom, video pops up in your face. You can watch that video. And everything we offer is inside of an app. So if you just want a shortcut to bets and picks, boom, ready to go. It's in the app. It's on the website. If you want to do your own research, boom, ready to go in the app on the website. If you play daily fantasy, boom, ready to go in the app on the website. If you want to use artificial intelligence, boom, ready to go in the app on the website. Every single thing we do or offer is available on the website at WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 for an entire month, or inside the app. Just search We Want Picks in the App Store. That's the premium pitch. That wasn't so bad. The best news about everything is we are in the throes, right in the midst of an incredibly long stretch. Guys, we had an unbelievable 2024. Unbelievable 2024. At least We Want Picks did. Then we hit the 3-week break and we're still grinding, making content. Then you get an event and a break, an event and a break. And now finally, we're in a stretch. We haven't had a full clean month yet. We haven't had a full 4 weekends yet of fights every single weekend, but we're about to. Next 4 weekends, we have this event, UFC Vegas 102. Then I believe we go to Seattle. Then we go back to the Apex. And then we have UFC 313, which is an incredible fight card. Check it all out, WeWantPicks.com. And as you may or may not know, we film some vlogs. We'd like to add the extra content. Let me be honest with you. Do you want to know the reason why the vlogs exist? The vlogs exist for 2 reasons. One, people were literally asking for that. Hey guys, love the content, want to know more about you as human beings. So we started filming the vlogs about a year ago. And 2, the vlogs are also there to show the world that I'm a human being. I exist. I walk on 2 legs. I have children. I have a wife. I'm a person. Not just a floating head in a chair that you could say horrible things to. So please, Be kind. Seriously, though, if you want to check out the vlogs, the UFC 312 vlog may be up by the time you're watching this. And if you're watching this as soon as I release it on Sunday morning, give it a few hours. It'll be up. And if you want to send something for the vlogs, on this vlog, I read a really cool note from Thomas Rinker. You can send a note. If you have a small business you want to promote, send whatever the hell that is. P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas, 75078. Let's go ahead and break down this card. 11-minute intro. In fairness to me, some of that intro was educational in opinion, not just pitch. And also, fairness to me, there's chapters. So the whole 11 minutes, there's chapters. Chapters. A lot of people aren't reading books anymore, but I think you still know what a chapter is. Let's go ahead and break down this card, though. This is a good card. We also got the double Bonfims. Both Bonfim brothers are on this card. I don't know if that's good or bad because a little bit of a fraud checkery going on the last couple of years, but let's go ahead and talk about him. The first Bonfim on the deck is likely Gabriel. This fight order is not solidified yet. Once it gets nailed down, we'll see where we're at. But Gabriel Bonfim is certainly going to be the lower of the two as far as where they're going to be on the card, and that's because he's not as wild as the other brother. But Gabriel Bonfim is taking on Khaos Williams. Khaos Williams stepping up on somewhat short notice. It's not exactly an emergency, but this fight wasn't set up 3 weeks ago. Gabriel Bonfim's a solid striker. He has high-level boxing credentials and solid BJJ. Well-rounded guy. He is the more patient of the two brothers, but he's still only been to one decision in 17 fights. He looks to strike early, then he'll transition to wrestling if he doesn't feel like things are going the way that he wanted them to go. When he gets it to the ground, he is methodical with the control. He works to positions first and then submissions. He's coming off that bounce-back win over Angelo, where he doubled the strikes, but he was taken down 4 times. And that may not be a huge concern here because Khaos Williams isn't exactly going to come charging forward with blast doubles. What Khaos Williams is, though, is a really fun guy to watch fight. He's never in a boring fight. He walks people down, tons of power, solid low kicks, uses those low kicks to chop up your legs, limit your movement, and then he's going to come up top and look for that head. He's got power. He is durable, and he's always live for a knockout. He's coming off that early knockout win over Carlston Harris. This is a great fight. This is destined for fireworks, which is why I know it's not going to remain the opening fight. This may work its way up to the featured prelim. Right now, Gabriel's the 2-1 favorite, dead on the nose. And that is a little bit surprising. So Gabriel's obviously the more well-rounded of the two because he's got the clean boxing. He's got the very good jiu-jitsu. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic, all of those things. So I understand him being the favorite. And I actually do think Gabriel's going to come out here with a wrestle-heavy game plan. But Khaos Williams has proven to have solid takedown defense. Khaos Williams has proven to be very durable, and he hits like a freight train. Gabriel's going to need a lot of cardio to execute on a wrestle-heavy game plan. So this is going to be an interesting fight. It could very likely be a dogfight, and we haven't really seen Gabriel in a dogfight outside of the fight that he lost. So Gabriel's going to be the pick here because he's more well-rounded. He has more tools in the bag, and he can make this fight go in different directions. I don't love these. 2-1 seems wide. It seems wide. We'll see what happens as the week goes on. We'll take a look at the prop bets. But if Gabriel Bonfim death gasses and ends up in a little bit of trouble, well, Khaos will be there, ready to go with power in his hands and plenty of cardio. So this could be a very interesting fight. Then we have tried and true Angela Hill taking on Ketlen Souza. Angela Hill's been around for God knows how long. She's sort of I don't want to say a pioneer in this division, but she's been around for about 15, 16 years, fighting at a pretty high level, doing her thing. While she's not evolving incredibly fast, what she is doing is staying consistent. She's good everywhere. Angela Hill's a high IQ fighter, mostly a striker, good speed, good volume, lots of versatility in that striking style. Not really a lot of power. You're not going to see her one punch knocking people out. You're not going to see her marching forward, chama-ing her way into the pocket. What you will see is an incredible amount of movement, an incredible amount of cardio, and very, very busy hands. She's pretty good everywhere. She can stick and move. She can try to avoid power. She can try to work in some takedowns. She can also try to exploit rookie-type mistakes because Angela Hill's 40 years old and she's been doing this for a long time at a very high level. She is coming off that decision loss to Tabitha Ricci, though, where her takedown defense was pretty good against the cage, but it didn't look like she liked the pressure. She's taking on Ketlen Souza. Ketlen Souza is a pressure fighter. See how my inflection on the word pressure? Spoiler alert, where this pick's going. But Ketlen Souza is a pressure fighter. She's got heavy strikes, an occasional takedown. Everything she does is heavy. She throws big kicks, big punches. She'll crush with elbow. She's always looking to do damage. She's a very solid grappler when it gets to the ground, but she does rely on strength instead of technique just to get it there. She's coming off that submission win over Yasmin Yaryui from Noche UFC. Angela Hill is always in a position to play spoiler. She's always in a position to pull the decent upset. I am surprised to actually see she's the favorite here. But I can kind of understand it, right? She's by far the more experienced of the two. She has friggin' more losses than Ketlen has wins, effectively. She's in great shape every fight. She's very skilled. She has more experience than 90% of this division, let alone just Ketlen. She also doesn't like pressure. And Ketlen is a known pressure fighter. That's all she knows. So I think Ketlen, despite not being the more technical fighter of the two, despite not being the more sound or well-rounded of the two, I think Ketlen moves forward, bombs away at all costs, can hold Angela against the cage, can maybe drag her down once or twice, just stay in her face, getting her backed up, and win this fight. Ketlen's going to be the pick here. I do worry about the cardio. That's my one concern with Ketlen is the cardio. But Ketlen's going to be the pick. And the bet, when the props drop, is likely going to be a plus 3.5. Let's just to win one round. It's probably going to be juiced if they even drop it at all. Sometimes when these fights are razor thin, they don't drop it. But I imagine there's going to be some line movement in the next couple of days. We're either going to get people jumping on Angela Hill and she'll shoot to a genuine favorite, or people are going to see what I see and be like, listen, Angela Hill's 40. She doesn't like backing up. It's going to be Ketlen Souza. With the pressure, it's going to win a decision. We're going to find out what happens, but that's the direction I'm leaning, going with the underdog in Ketlen Souza. This is another, we'll talk about this line in a second. We got Jared Gordon taking on Kaue Fernandes. Jared Gordon's a minus 170 favorite. Good size favorite here. And I get it, because he's coming off a decent performance. A close loss to Nasrat Haqparast. Jared Gordon is a good wrestler. He's got high volume striking. He likes to come forward. He'll shoot some flurries before looking for a takedown. He averages almost 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. But he can be out-grappled if you push that agenda onto him. He's not particularly dangerous. But he is tough. He is busy. He's coming off that split decision loss to Nasrat Haqparast, where he was very wrestle-heavy. He had tons of pressure. That decision was close. And you could make the case that it was a homer call, and they just sort of gave it to Nasrat. He's taking on Kaue Fernandes. This guy is a loose and powerful striker who is going to bounce on the toes. He's going to stay outside the pocket. He's going to lunge in with speed and power. And like a lot of people at his gym, No Vinyao, he's got slick BJJ. He's got solid takedown defense. He does get flashy with the striking, but he's comfortable. And when he's focused, he can be technical as well. He's coming off that knockout finish over Muhammad Yahya, where he looked fast, he looked accurate, and he was busy with the leg kicks. I think this fight is way closer than these odds. Way closer than these odds. Listen, Jared is tough. He's well-rounded. He's been through a lot of adversity in his life. He also beat Paddy Pimblett in that fight. But he is not an almost 2-1 favorite. He's just not. His only real path to victory here is going to be the wrestling. And while that probably gets it done for him, Kaue is dangerous as hell. And if he is leg kick heavy and takes that away from Jared, he could certainly remove wrestling from the equation and win this fight. This is a crazy close fight. I'm going to lean the dog. We're going 2 fights in a row. Dog, Kaue Fernandes. My one and only concern here is the takedown defense of Kaue. Right now it's listed at 62%. We don't have a giant body of work to go off of. He is coming off his first UFC win. So let's see what happens, but I'm going with the dog here. I think Kaue Fernandes can make this interesting pressure forward. This fight's in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas judges, for the most part, right? We all watch anywhere from 12 to 15 fights on a Saturday, and there may be 1 or 2 weird scorecards. But that's a lot of fights and a lot of scorecards. For the most part, Vegas does it right. For the most part. And if you are in the camp of takedowns don't matter, takedowns mean nothing. If you take somebody down, I don't care. Unless you're bashing their face in, it means literally nothing. If you're in that camp, then Kaue definitely makes some sense. And Jared, Vegas does it right. If you're in that camp, that is how Vegas sees things. And if you don't agree with me, go back, watch the incredible fight between C-Rod and Isaac Dulgarian, where Isaac Dulgarian took him down probably 275 times. And 1 knee was landed in the second round, and they gave that fight away. Then we have Rafael Estevam, and he is taking on Jesus Aguilar. Finally, some pretty easy fights to break down. Rafael Estevam is a high-pressure grappler. First of all, he doesn't look like an Estevam, right? He looks like a, I don't know, not an Estevam. Estevam implies beard, no mustache. But we got Brazilian, Rafael Estevam. He is a high-pressure grappler, so there is some beard, no stash in there. He'll throw bombs to close the distance. He has absolutely no issues marching forward. He's got those heavy strikes, and then he'll look for the takedowns. Takedowns are sloppy. They do tend to be trips and drags and just at all costs get it to the ground. But he's relentless, and he will continue working to get you to the ground no matter what. Once you're down, he does a great job of softening you up, working you, trying to get you to change positions, then he'll work in a submission. He's got great back control. He's a very dangerous grappler. He is coming off a successful UFC debut over Charles Johnson, where he had 3 takedowns and 9 full minutes of control time. He's taking on Jesus Aguilar. Jesus Aguilar is also a grappler. He does have a knack for finding guillotines. He has 11 wins. 8 of those wins are stoppages, and 5 of the 8 stoppages are by guillotine. And his guillotines are interesting because it's not like always waiting for you to shoot and then, oh, I'm jumping guillotine, like what Dustin Poirier thinks he's doing in his head. He sets them up. He looks for them. It's like his go-to offensive submission. He can strike as well. He's got some solid combinations, what seems like decent power. He is a bit wild, but he's very active. He is fun to watch. He's coming off another guillotine win, this time over Stuart Nickel, who did take a bad shot because of the pressure that Jesus was bringing. A few weeks ago at UFC Saudi Arabia, we saw another guillotine specialist in Said Nurmagomedov take a loss. And I think that could happen here as well. This matchup is obviously very different, and Said isn't just desperately looking for a guillotine. And I also think Rafael Estevam is actually going to grapple, which only gives Jesus the opportunity to jump guillotine. But I don't think any of that matters. Rafael's going to come forward, heavy pressure, grapple like crazy, repeatedly give Jesus opportunity for the guillotine, and it won't matter. Rafael's offensive wrestling is there. I trust it. I trust the defensive guy. I mean, look, he's got jiu-jitsu tattooed in his chest. I trust the jiu-jitsu defense as well. And I think these odds are appropriate. Rafael Estevam is the pretty confident pick. Then we have everybody's favorite bag of mashed potatoes, Valter Walker, and he's taking on Dontel Mays. And I still have hate for Valter Walker from his UFC debut. It's still in me. I've taken showers. I've gone for jogs. I've done everything. And I can't shake the hate. And that's unfortunate. I hate in my heart for Valter Walker. Because this is a giant man. This is Johnny Walker's brother. A humongous man. Who has all of the pizzazz of a Brazilian striker. And then lived in the mountains of Russia to turn himself into essentially a giant Dagestani. But what did he do with that? Falls on his ass, can't get takedowns, and really embarrassed himself in that UFC. It was one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen. It came out huge favorite, giant, Russian-like wrestler. Shit the bed. So embarrassing. One of the most embarrassing. They put him up against a grappler or a striker with no takedown defense, and he still shit the bed. That's why I say this is a tough sport to break down. You don't know who's going to absolutely suck and when they're going to suck. But despite the rage still festering in my heart from Valter Walker's UFC debut, he did rebound nicely in his last fight. Now I'm going to clean slate it. Try to woo-saw the hate out of the heart and break down this fight. Valter Walker is a big dude at 6'6". And he has spent a giant portion of his life and career in Russia, where he has been grinding and wrestling. The striking, absolutely abysmal, sucks. So don't even get that out the window. Not a factor. The striking is horrific. But he does shoot real takedowns. Lowers his level, shoots the takedown. He is coming off that win over Junior Taffa, where the striking looked awful as usual, and the submission was questionable. He's taking on Dontel Mays. Good boxer. Heavy hands. Also a big dude at 6'6". He's got solid footwork. He sets up his combinations well. He marches forward. He throws everything with 100% effort. Everything from leg kicks to overhands. He's not a wrestler, but he does have some of his own offensive takedowns in the UFC, 7 to be exact. He's coming off that decision loss to Shamil Gaziev, where he was taken down twice and had no answer on the ground. And once I remove the hate from my heart, and I just look at these two gentlemen and say, who could win this fight? Then there's kind of a clear 1 + 1 = 2 scenario. But like common core math, I'm going to complicate the shit out of this for no reason whatsoever. Don'Tale Mayes is useless when he's taken down. And Valter Walker has great takedowns. Valter Walker should be able to get it to the ground and grind away. Valter has also shown us that his striking is god-awful, and so is his cardio. So if the historically durable Don'Tale Mayes can get this fight to go long, all of a sudden the tides might turn and he could possibly embarrass Valter the same way that Lucas Bresky did. I'm going to make the assumption that Lucas was a wake-up call for Valter, that he left that embarrassment of a fight and was like, what am I doing with my life? My God, am I a slob? Jesus, I have no cardio. My tits jiggle if I walk down the stairs too fast. I need to make adjustments in life. And this is Valter talking, not me, so don't clip that. Don't clip that. And then he looked in the mirror, did one of these, just shame. And then he got a salad. He put the shoes on. He ran. And now here he is with cardio. He's not going to fix his strike. His striking isn't going to magically be fixed in a couple of months. The striking's not there. And we don't even need him to be a good striker. Just have enough cardio to really wrestle. And if he does, he wins this fight. I'm gonna pick Valter Walker. But my God, the writing is on the wall. Don'Tale Mayes has good takedowns. Don'Tale Mayes is not a pussy. Don'Tale Mayes has good striking. Those three things all lean Don'Tale Mayes. But I've got a soft spot for wrestlers. And Don'Tale Mayes did nothing once he was taken down. Shamil has good striking, which could make the takedowns a little easier to come by. Valter does not. So I can't even bet him at minus 165. So, Valter Walker's the pick. Don't come here hating if he loses. You heard you got to listen to the words sometimes. You got to listen to the words. Then we have Vince Morales taking on Elijah Smith. This is going to be an interesting fight. This is another fun fight, another tricky fight. Vince Morales, decent striker. His boxing is okay, but he makes up for any technical gaps with forward pressure, with volume. He's always moving. He's always working something. He's got legit power in his hands, but he does tend to go to it often and then fizzle out. If he doesn't find the finish, he will slow down. He was cut by UFC in 2022. But then he racked up 5 wins on the regional scene, earned his way back into the big show. And now he's coming off a decision loss to Taylor Lapilus, but he did land some big shots. He did show that he had dog in him. Ultimately, he just lost to the better fighter, and that's going to happen in this sport. He's taking on Elijah Smith. Elijah Smith's a good grappler, decent striking. His hands are fast. He's got solid power. His takedowns are also pretty fast, and he does a good job covering the distance and working his way in. On top of that, he's got solid control, and even if somebody works up, he usually has a shot right behind it to get you back to the ground. He's got decent cardio, decent power, and a win here could turn him into a very real prospect. And before I make my pick, let's play a little game. I'm going to ask you a question. If you're sitting on the toilet taking a shit, just answer out loud. Who cares? Nobody's listening. Just answer out loud. Let me ask you, what happened when Vince Morales was cut from the UFC in 2022? Well, he got 5 dominant wins is what happened. He went down to the regional promotions and got 5 dominant wins. And this is a reminder that even fringe UFC level guys are better than regional fighters. And I bring that up because while Elijah has solid wrestling, he's got some pizzazz. He might be a regional guy that Vince walks through. We don't quite know yet. But what I do know is Vince just went toe-to-toe with Taylor Lapilus, who is very good. And I'm going to go out on a limb. I am going to pick Elijah because of the wrestling specifically. And because of the fact that I know he'll just shoot and then right behind it, shoot again. But I'm likely going to avoid betting here and just take notes for next time. When I watch the fights, I have this spreadsheet I'm looking at right now in front of me, and I just take my notes. UFC debuts are sketchy. Betting on UFC in general can be a little hard because you just never know what somebody's going to do. If we talk about that French nerd, Kevin Gisette, just last night, who stood there, didn't do dick all, did nothing to try to change his life, did nothing to try to win that fight, didn't use any of the judo he's been working on since he was a small child. Anytime you get that, it makes it tricky. And Elijah Smith, we've only ever seen him go to work 8 times. This is their job. They're professional fighters. This is their job. And we've only ever seen Elijah in his cage do his job 8 times. Based off of the 8 times that he showed up to work, I think he wins this fight. But who knows what a ninth time is going to look like? We don't have a team sport where somebody else can pick up some slack if you're having an off night. We don't have like a boxing career of 15, 20, 30 fights and 50 amateur fights to really know who you are as a fighter. What we have is 8 fights to go off of. Those 8 fights tell me Elijah's nonstop wrestling can be the difference here. What I don't know, if he's just going to show up and not shoot takedowns or doesn't get him and doesn't know what to do because Vince is a dog. So that's why I'm not betting this fight, but I am going to pick Elijah because based off the tape, the nonstop grinding wrestling should be able to get it done. But I don't love these odds, especially not at 220. UFC debut minus 220 against a dog. We don't need to bet them all. We don't need to bet them all. And then we have what likely will not remain the featured fight of the undercard, but it is for now. We got Julia Avila coming back, rose from the dead, still wearing her Halloween costume with the streaks in the hair and everything. She was Elvira. Taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Julia Avila. What is it? Not the Kung Fu Panda. The Danger Panda? The Angry Panda? What is it? Raging. The Raging Panda. Heavy-handed brawler. She is aggressive, both on the feet and on the ground. She's a BJJ black belt. But when she gets on top, she's just pounding away. She's raging, pandaing her way to wins. And then she'll look for a submission. She will slug it out on the feet. She'll not even attempt to wrestle half the time. She's coming back after a very long layoff and a loss to Miesha Tate in 2023 where she had no answer for the wrestling. She's taking on young up-and-comer Jacqueline Cavalcanti. She's a long striker who uses good footwork and feints to manage range. She does a good job working your legs early, slowing you down, and then working up to the head. She keeps her striking technical, and when she finds a rhythm, she works forward, pressures. She'll even look for the occasional takedown. When she's moving forward, she can be effective. But when she's not, and when she's backing up, well, that's sort of a different situation. She is definitely a striker, but she won't shy away from cage control trips or ground and pound. She's coming off the win over Nora Cornole, where she got away with a few fence grabs, but she did have a solid one too. Sometimes the sport just passes you by. Sometimes your hair gets gray. And while your hair's getting gray, the sport's flying along. And there's young up-and-comers doing the new stuff with the new techniques. Julia Avila's best days are behind her. And while the Raging Panda will always be tough, and she is always fun to watch, and she has a nice body of work if you look back at her career, I just don't think the toughness in this era of MMA is enough. Certainly there's some fighters out there that will wilt, right? They're just a little soft, and they can't deal with somebody in front of them that refuses to go away. And that is who Julia is. But I don't think Jacqueline is the person who's going to wilt if Julia is just in front of her nonstop the whole time. So, Jacqueline Cavalcanti, who is almost 10 years younger, stronger, faster, bigger, is going to be a pretty confident pick. I wish she wrestled a little more because Julia clearly has some wrestling defensive gaps, but you can't pick and bet on a 36-year-old who hasn't fought in a couple of years, and when she did fight, she fought an old Miesha Tate and still struggled there. Julia Avila, the confident pick. I'm also confident that I can fatten your wallet a little bit. If you go to WeWantPicks.com/bets and use the link to make a new account and sign up, we'll send you $50 as a thank you. I got an email this weekend that was like, hey, I never got my $50. So I said, oh, I'm sorry. What's the account number? Let me look it up. And I looked it up. I couldn't find it. I said, hey, I don't see it in the affiliate portal. So we have an affiliate deal with the sports books. And when you sign up, you make a new account, they'll pay us, right? That's how this all works. They pay me, and then I take $50 and I give it to you. And it's a win-win. Michael Scott. And I said, I can't find it. When did you make this account? And they're like, well, I made it a year and a half ago. And I didn't use your link. And unfortunately, that doesn't work, right? So if you want the $50 bonus, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. You see all the links. Click one, sign up, make an account, then fill out the quick form so we have your account number and all that stuff. We can look it up. If you have filled out that form already and you didn't get paid yet, could take a couple days to a week depending on the sports book. Shoot me a quick follow-up. No big deal. I got you, dog. I got you. And then you can become a premium member. The latest addition to premium membership is the Fight Simulator. The Fight Simulator takes all sorts of different data inputs, everything from implied probability to historical fight data, to biometrics, striking stats, grappling stats. It takes all of that, and then it has the fighters fight each other in a simulation 100,000 times. And then it spits out the output. And the output from those 100,000 simulations can be used for whatever you want. Notably, you can use it to build DraftKings fantasy lineups. The fight simulator will just build the lineups for you. And in the last 2 weeks, we have had people reach out. This has only existed for 9 days. And people have reached out saying, just rewind and check out the slides. I have an optimal lineup. I made $400. I have an optimal lineup. I made $800. Oh my God, this tool is amazing. And that makes me so freaking happy because what we're trying to do here is build the best possible product on planet Earth. And the product isn't just the fight simulator. The product is the greater premium membership. 2024 was a spectacular year for us. You guys decided to watch more videos than ever and click the subscribe button. You guys decided to go to WeWantPicks.com and become premium members. Our bets were absolutely on fire last year. Obviously, there's ebbs and flows. There's ups and downs. We had a slow start in the beginning of the year and really got cooking in the spring and closed off really strong. But 2024, premium membership was only $10. And that $10 got you a whole lot, and it was an insane value in 2024. It is now 2025. Premium membership is still $10. And now you had the incredible value from 2024. And then on top of it, we added the fight simulator. On top of it, we added an app. On top of it, we refreshed the website. We refreshed the data analyzer. So that exact same product from last year, which was incredible value then, is now way better at the exact same price point. And that's what this is going to be because genuinely, 100%, genuinely, from my heart, and I'm not doing a weird Elon Musk heart salute, but from my heart, my only goal here is to build the most undeniable, most value-heavy product that has ever existed in this space. That is my goal. And we are already there, and we're going to continue to expand on that. Sorry for the rant. I'm just very passionate about all of this. This is my entire life. My entire family depends on this. Josh's family, Jacob's family, the nuclear physicists who helped develop this product, all of our families. And we are all marching forward with the exact same goal in mind, build the best product that has ever existed. We also have bets. And while Stella lost her groove with the freaking Kevin Jacet fight, what I am going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to watch. There was a documentary that came out a couple years ago. It's called Stella Got Her Groove Back. I'm going to watch that. I'm going to see how did Stella get her groove back. And I'm going to do all the things that work for Stella. They're going to work for me. Historically speaking, safety parlay, beacon of stability, 43% ROI. Hit 11 of the last 14. And while you might be like, but I signed up last night. I lost last night. All right, you lost last night. This is the long-term game, baby. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's $10 for an entire month. You're also going to have access to more than just this beautiful face. You're going to get Jacob's picks and bets, Artem's picks and bets, Artificial Intelligence picks and bets, and Bet Sam. Bet Sam has been dragging us over the finish line for the last couple of weeks. His bets have been absolutely on fire. And if you want to send something for the vlogs, every vlog we do a mail day. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas, 75078. We'll read the letters. We'll eat the food as long as no white powder on it. We'll do all the things. Send it to us. We'll showcase it in the vlogs. That was a long intermission. I get it. There's chapters, all right? You didn't like it. It's okay. Click, bang, and we move. Let's go ahead and break down this main card. For now, the opener is Rodolfo Vieira taking on Andre Petroski. Could be a grappler's delight. Could be the worst fight we've ever seen in our entire lives. It's going to go one way or the other. Rodolfo Vieira is a freak athlete. This guy's got incredible BJJ, world-level BJJ competitor. He has more than one international title. He's incredibly explosive. He's got good takedowns. Technique can get the best of him with the wrestling, not the jiu-jitsu. While his game plan is always get it to the ground, he can have success in the feet striking as well. He's coming off that submission win over Armen Petrosian, where he did need 3 takedowns. He's taking on Andre Petroski. He's a good wrestler. Great takedowns. His stand-up is just okay, but it is loaded with power shots, and it's really there to set up the wrestling. When he does shoot takedowns, they're fast, they're clean. He's got solid BJJ as well, and he mostly uses it for control. Maybe he'll snatch something up. He's coming off that wrestle-heavy win over Dylan Budka, where he had 3 takedowns and 10 minutes of control. And I get people love hating on Andre Petroski, especially after he knocked himself out shooting a takedown. One of the most bizarre losses any of us have ever. I mean, it was ridiculous. Made no sense whatsoever. And this is a battle of the grapplers, but it might not play out that way. Rodolfo might not be a good enough wrestler to take down Petroski. And Petroski might not want to take down Rodolfo, given Rodolfo's grappling history. And that's a little nerve-wracking because Andre's striking objectively sucks. Every punch he threw at Dylan Budka in his last fight had me just, oh God, please, God, mother of God, please. Please just shoot a takedown. It was insanely nerve-wracking. Vieira hits hard. He has a better chin between the two of these gentlemen. And with that being said, we did just see Andre use good old-fashioned American wrestling in his last 2 fights. And if he sticks to that, I think he wins here. My literal only concern, fighters are people, right? I'm a human. Watch the vlogs. Fighters are people too. People don't always make sound, logical decisions. People also feel themselves, right? You have a little bit of success, start to feel yourself, and you lose who you were. That's what happened with Andre. Started his career as a good wrestler, good grappler, stuck to it. Knocked a few people out, convinced himself he was Mike Tyson. Then he got smoked a couple of times, right on the edge of losing his job. Then he went back to the wrestling. Couple wins in a row, just boring as shit wins. Like, his last 2 fights were god-awful. But he used the wrestling. He used his skills. He got the wins. And now we're in a situation where he got 2 wins in a row. And he might be feeling himself. And he might abandon who he is. I need him to just wrestle. You have very good jiu-jitsu. You should not be afraid of Rodolfo Vieira's jiu-jitsu. You have very good jiu-jitsu on your side. You have good old-fashioned American wrestling. So you're the better wrestler of the two. And you should have good enough jiu-jitsu to not be swept or submitted off the top. And if you don't, what the hell have you been doing for the last 20 years? Rodolfo Vieira is great at jiu-jitsu. But it's different when you're on your back and you have a very high-level wrestler with great hips on top of you. I'm picking Andre Petroski. I'm doing it. And feel free to spam me with the gif of him knocking himself out, shooting a takedown on Jacob Malkoun. Feel free, because I deserve it. Picks and bets are not the same thing. Then we have Edmen Shahbazyan taking on Dylan Budka. Guys, you're going to hate this breakdown. I'll tell you right now, you are going to hate this breakdown. And I don't know if it's Budka's last name, but you are all convinced this guy sucks. You're just everybody, the whole world outside of his mother and his father are convinced that he sucks. I'm here to tell you he does not suck. But we'll start with Edmen. Edmen is a very good striker. He's a well-rounded guy. He's got impressive kicks. He does get taken down a ton, and that's because he is long and he just plants before he throws. He's not light on his feet. His takedown defense is listed at 65%, and if he is taken down, he ends up in trouble, though, because he doesn't scramble well enough to get back up or even threaten enough with submissions. He's got solid offensive wrestling, though, with more than 2 takedowns per fight. He's coming off that submission loss to Gerald Mearshart, where he was dominant. He was dominating that fight, and then he got taken down. He was completely out of water. He's taking on Dylan Budka. Dylan Budka is a solid grappler. He's got big takedowns. He was a Division I wrestler. He had Olympic hopes, which that was a bizarre narrative in his last fight because they kept saying he had Olympic. Everybody has Olympic hopes. Who the hell wasn't a little kid like, hey, Kobe, I'm going to the Olympics. So Olympic hopes and making the Olympic team are 2 very different things. But he did wrestle Division I, and that matters here. He'll lower his level. He'll shoot actual takedowns right up the middle instead of looking for clinches and trips. When he does get it to the ground, he does a really good job working in positions and taking his time. He's not rushed. He will look for submissions instead of TKOs. He's not a very good striker, but he has no issues charging forward, letting his hands fly. When Andre Petroski was doing whatever the hell he calls striking, Dylan Budka was right there biting down, bombing away. He is coming off that loss to Petroski where he missed weight. He looked like death, but his cardio held up despite not defending the takedowns well. The biggest surprise in that fight was how bad Budka's takedown defense is. But it's not going to matter here. I see some of these lines and I don't get it. I feel like 2025, more so than any other year, has a lot of upside down odds. I feel like we've already seen a lot of giant favorites either lose or barely win. We've seen a lot of middle of the road favorites, a lot of minus 200, minus 300 guys just absolutely lose bell to bell. Go look at that French nerd Kevin just said. And if you're French and you're watching this, I'm sorry I'm bringing his nationality into it, but I mean, you guys need to cut him off. Can you revoke somebody's nationality? Like, you know how the kid from Home Alone divorced his parents? Maybe an entire country can divorce them. I think Ireland's trying to do it with Connor. Figure out how to do that with Kevin just said. He doesn't deserve to have a nation to call home. He doesn't deserve it. Back to this. I understand Dylan isn't great, but I also understand he's got very good offensive wrestling and his opponent can't defend takedowns, effectively useless on the ground. People just look at the name and they just remember in their heads, oh, he lost, this guy sucks. And Budka, it's not a great last name. He can't control that, but it's not a name that screams success. Budka. That's not the case, though. He's a very good wrestler, and that's kind of all he needs to be here. He's got a decent chin. He's not a quitter. He's got a good wrestling base. He had good cardio even when he missed weight. Budka's going to be the pick. No idea. And maybe I'm an absolute moron missing something, which is quite possible. I just feel like Budka can win this fight with wrestling. Sometimes that's all you need is one thing. Unless you're fighting Weili Zhang. Then we got Conor Matthews taking on Jose Delgado. Jose Delgado making his UFC debut. Looking at us like he knows something that we don't. He is parlaying a short notice contender series win into an official UFC debut. Style-wise, he's a rangy striker. He uses kicks to stay on the outside. When he comes in, he fights with inside the pocket type power. And he's got that Mike Tyson style upper body movement. All I did there was compare the movement to Mike. I didn't say he is Mike Tyson. I didn't say he has Mike Tyson's power. One of you is going to have listening comprehension skills and say, bro, compared Jose to Mike Tyson. No, just the movement. The tight, wah, 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 ba, ba, wah. That's how he fights inside the pocket. He can grapple as well, though. He's got solid takedowns, good ground and pound. Overall, well-rounded kid who has all finish wins. He's taking on Conor Matthews. Conor Matthews is a volume striker. He moves forward. He throws everything he can, but also receives everything that comes back his way. You're going to see that 5 of his 7 wins are by submission. You're going to make an assumption that he's a phenomenal grappler. And while he does have okay takedowns, he's not a pure grappler. Most of his submission wins are actually coming from just snatching things up in scrambles, even climbing people's backs against the cage. He is somewhat durable. He sets a good pace. He's well-rounded enough to hang. He is coming off that finish loss, though, to Dennis Bazooka in his UFC debut. We don't have odds for this fight yet. I assume Jose is going to be a favorite. And if he's not, I'll be betting him. At least I think he should be the favorite. He's got good power, good control, good grappling. He is very dangerous. The only concern for him is the same concern we have for any of these young prospects, and that's what happens if he ends up in trouble. Luckily, I don't think he will. We saw Conor get put out. And while Conor is a decent fighter, I think Jose is just slightly better, except maybe cardio. I think Jose can be slick on the feet. I think he can get the takedowns. And he can really take this fight over. Jose is going to be the pick. I obviously need to wait for odds to decide what the next steps are going to be. And maybe he ends up being an underdog and we get ourselves a nice little payday. But I'm going Jose here. I think Conor Matthews is just okay. And Jose is okay +5. Then we have the other Bonfim brother, Ismael Bonfim. And he is in a tough fight against Nazim Sadykhov. And despite being what the youngsters call fraud-checked about 1.5 years ago, Ismael Bonfim did rebound pretty well and is seemingly the real deal. He's a wild striker, very real power, no regard for straight punches. Everything's just like, boom, I'm going to throw a baseball at your face. He will mix in flying knees, the occasional takedown. When he takes his time, he can be accurate. He can be clean, powerful, solid defense. He actually has high-level boxing experience, and he obviously is good BJJ. He is coming off that decision win over Vince Pichel, where he effectively just doubled Vince's strikes. He's taking on Nazim Sadykhov. Nazim Sadykhov is a solid kickboxer. He's got speed, he's got power, but he's not reckless. He takes his time on his feet to find his openings. He likes to plot forward and counter-strike at the same time. And while he is patient, he can occasionally work in an unnecessary spin attack, and that actually led to his one and only MMA loss. He spun around like a ding-dong, and bang. That's when his demise started. He's coming off that draw against Vyacheslav Borishev, where he was losing early, but a few well-timed takedowns, a knockdown made that whole scenario very interesting. And this is a great matchup. You could argue either side of this fight. If you're in the Nazim camp, you can make a very intelligent argument that would make a lot of sense. If you're in the Bonfim camp, you can do the same. I think Bonfim wins. Nazim has had a lot of success in the UFC, but almost every win has a little bit of a caveat. Evan Elder was beating him, and then it was stopped because of a cut. Terrence McKinney was beating him before doing what Terrence McKinney does. Vyacheslav was beating him before Nazim worked in some of those takedowns. And obviously, Nazim is a talented kid. He's very tough. I don't think Ismael's going to get cut like Evan did. I don't think he's going to gas like Terrence did. And I don't think he's going to get worn out and used and beat up the way Vyacheslav did. I think Ismael stays busy with the striking, may or may not work in his own takedown. I am going to pick Ismael Bonfim here. And I do think these odds are appropriate. I think this is a very close fight because of how good Nazim actually is. And the jury is kind of still out on Ismael. Right? He got smoked in that loss. He got a win, but it was a win over a 40-year-old who I think had a lot of injuries, but took the fight anyway. I forget what his rant was after the fight. But Ismael Bonfim is going to be the pick. Then we have the co-main event of the evening. Fellow Northeasterner, Calvin Kattar, taking on Youssef Zalal. Calvin Kattar. And listen, I say Kattar, and I have said Kattar. I've known Calvin long on the regional scene. I'm from Connecticut. I believe he's Massachusetts. And I managed professional fighters for a very long time. I had some in the UFC, had a bunch of guys in the Northeast. So obviously, same circles. Lots of my fighters would cross-train. I've been saying Kattar since 2005, 9, something like that. So I'm doing my best to say Kattar because someone's always got some dumbass comment. But to me, Kattar is Cater. That's Kattar, not Kattar. Calvin Kattar. That's the other problem with saying Kattar. Clean, accurate boxer. He's got good stoppages on his record, but most of those stoppages come from his incredible timing and not just raw one-punch power. His hands are always exactly where they need to be. He is clean. He cuts angles really well. His takedown defense is listed at 72%, but I promise you, with everything I have, this son of a bitch cannot defend takedowns. His whole camp cannot defend takedowns. But he is a very good, clean striker. He is also on kind of an all-time skid here. He's coming off that loss to Joe at UFC 300, where he gave up 8 freaking takedowns. I will say a little bit of reprieve for Calvin there as Aljo went on after that fight to fight one of the best wrestlers in the division and out-wrestled him too. So maybe Calvin's takedown defense might be slightly better than I just gave him credit for. He's taking on Youssef Zalal. In 2024, Youssef Zalal was a buzzsaw. Notably, he was cut from the UFC in 2023, but that was after a real tough slate of competition. Went on the regional scene, did what he needed to do to come back, and now he has just been running through people. He's a high IQ guy that can throw volume, but also be incredibly sound defensively. He's only hit with 1.71 significant strikes per minute, which, considering that he has 6 decisions in the UFC, is an incredible statistic. This new 2.0 version of Youssef is an aggressive wrestler with slick submissions. He's coming off his 3rd submission win in a row, this time an armbar over Jack Shore. He literally sent Jack Shore into retirement. Jack Shore was like a great prospect at one point. Youssef smokes him, and he's like, yeah, I quit this sport. I retire. And we have a tale of 2 fighters. We have one fighter who is as close to the top as you could possibly get without getting a title shot, who is now experiencing the steep fall off that is an aging MMA fighter's career. Then we have a young fighter who pushed too far too soon, but then he managed to get on the regional scene, get some wins, climb back to where he belongs. He improved, and now he's on the climb to the top. So we have one guy falling off a cliff, another guy flying up that hill. And momentum matters in this sport. And all the momentum is on Youssef's side. His takedowns have been incredible since returning to the UFC, as has been his submissions. I fully expect Calvin to be a gamer here, as he always has been. He's probably not going to be submitted. He might. But Youssef is going to be the pick. I'm about as confident in Youssef as you can be in anybody. And until the New England Cartel, which is the gym that Calvin trains at, can prove they're capable of defending takedowns, I got to fade that entire team against anybody with decent wrestling. Youssef's going to be the pick. He's my most confident pick on this card. And unlike that bum Kevin just said, Youssef's not going to go in there and freeze up. That's just not who he is. The Moroccan Devil is going to be the pick. Check out his YouTube channel. He's been filming vlogs himself of his training camp and all those things. He's a We Want Picks guy. He shouted out Jacob. If you didn't know, in his last win, go watch his last win. In the octagon, he shouted out Jacob. Now, he did say, shout out Jacob, pick him. We want pick him. It wasn't the cleanest shout out, but it was a shout out nonetheless. Then we have the main event of the evening. Jared Cannonier taking on Gabriel Rodrigues. He's not Spanish, but I'm going to roll those R's anyway. Jared Cannonier, as we all know by now, a powerful and incredibly dangerous guy. He switches from southpaw to orthodox. He throws kicks from both sides. He's got solid grappling defense and a great resume. He only averages 0.42 takedowns per 15 minutes. But he does have 5 takedowns in his last 3 fights. He's coming off that decision loss to Caio, where he was outstruck and he was almost finished. He's taking on the dangerous Gabriel Rodrigues, well-rounded guy. He's got good striking power and a BJJ black belt. Even though he has that black belt and he's more than capable on the ground, he typically is not really looking for takedowns. He's using his really good takedown defense to keep things standing. He likes to slug it out. He's a big guy with power and strength, and the reality is that he is a threat everywhere. He's coming off the decision win over Christian Leroy Duncan, where he went back to his grappling roots with 4 takedowns and 8 minutes of control. And even though Gregory Rodrigues looks like he's 40, he's not 40. The only 40-year-old in this fight is Jared Cannonier. And while to many age is but a number, to me, 40 means, A, you're aging like fine wine. But it also means your chin is on its way out. Your speed is on its way out. And Jared Cannonier has built an entire career on big, fast actions with cardio as a backup plan. But he's 40. He's slowing down. He's not nearly as durable as he once was. And I think he could have some success early, as he has in his last couple of fights. But like those last 2 fights, things are going to turn quickly. Gregory certainly has enough power to put out Jared, enough grappling to take him down. Gregory is the pick. And if we get a 4.5 round line, I might hammer that under. So we'll see when the props drop, but Gregory Rodrigues is going to be the pick here. This is not a forgiving sport. Certainly not for the over 40 crowd. Guys, that's the breakdown. If you loved it, well, I appreciate you. If you hated it, sorry. What do you want from me? I filmed a full recap last night at 1 o'clock in the morning. Chopped that video up, upload it, sit in this chair at 7 o'clock in the morning, ready to go with the best graphics you've ever seen in your entire life. Diligent notes after doing a ton of research. You didn't like the breakdown, move on. But before you do, go to the App Store, search We Want Picks, download the app. The app's spectacular. Everything we offer on the website is available in the app, plus push notifications. If you don't want the app, that's fine too. Everything we have on the website, like the fight simulator that I've been bragging about because we're insanely proud of the latest addition to We Want Picks, is available in the app. Data analyzer, that is a full-blown research hub effectively. And I know Josh the Web guy is watching this and he hates that I use the term research hub. I actually was like, dude, we should take all these research tools, the data analyzer, all these things, tape study, call it a research hub. And he was like, that's the dumbest name. I hate that name. So he doesn't like it. And I said it now, and he's not going to be happy about it. Sorry, Josh. Sometimes things just come out. I just start talking. But the data analyzer, also available in the app. Data analyzer allows you to do research, not only detailed, diligent research on every fighter, but also every card. It's built out for the future, and you can do full tape study. Click a button, boom, video pops up. You watch the video. That part you can't do in the app. You got to do that on a mobile browser or the website just because of the way iOS apps work and their ability to open other apps. But take it up with Apple. You also have access to the line movement tracker, the prop hunter, and everybody else at We Want Picks. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a member. It's freaking $10. Dude, it's $10 a month. The amount of shit that is included for $10, it's undeniable. You can hate me and think I'm some greaseball Italian. Fine, I don't give a fuck. But you can't deny that this is the greatest value in this space. You just can't. What's the alternative in this space? Some random spreadsheet somebody built that's $15? Some weirdo's Patreon that's $30? Some dude lying about his rich and fabulous lifestyle that's $100 a month? Dude, we're at $10. We have everything you could ever want or need for picks, bets, daily fantasy, literally everything. And we just continue to add, continue to improve. We have never and will never touch that price point. It is undeniable. The greatest service in this space. Do we have better weeks sometimes than others? Of course. This is sports betting. And this is sports betting on a very volatile sport. So of course, some French nerd is going to go out there and blow it for all of us. Of course. But that doesn't make the value any different. Undeniably greatest service in this world. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. At the top,